Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to look at another flat Earth adherent and discuss his reasons for not believing in the round Earth. Let's have some fun.
Why I'll never believe the Earth is round again. Reason number 1. All my 5 senses, instincts, tell me the Earth is stationary and plain, not moving 66,600 miles per hour around the Sun or orbiting 1,000 miles per hour on its axes.
So because you can't feel the Earth moving, you are convinced it isn't. The Earth isn't really accelerating, you see. This is why you don't feel as though you're moving in a car, airplane, train, and so on when you're moving at a constant speed. The atmosphere happens to be moving at the same speed we are, more or less. Kind of like in a car when you have the windows up.
That's more than stupid, that's freaking retarded, man. Come on, I can't believe I ever fell for that.
What's so dumb about it?
Reason number 2, every time I say I believe the Earth is flat, the initial response is just something like I'm autistic or retarded. You see, people can insult you all they want, but very few of them will ever argue back or give you reasons or proof. They're incapable of it.
If I told you that the rain isn't falling because I'm in my house and I can't feel it, would you look at me like I'm a smart individual? You're saying that you think any belief is justified if people look at you like you're mentally deficient if you tell them you believe it? You know, this is a ridiculous bit of reasoning to hang your hat on, yeah?
Reason number 3, never seen space. Nobody has. Don't try to say you have, because you haven't. Don't try to say you know somebody who has, because you don't. It's not even real.
So you're telling me you've never seen the sun or the moon? You can't see those stars up there in the night sky? You've never seen Venus with your naked eye? Is the area in which you live particularly polluted or something? Neil deGrasse Tyson had a similar story to recount one time. When he was younger, he didn't realize that stars were real. He just thought they were things he saw in the planetariums. Because in the city, there was too much light and too many clouds and everything to see it, and it didn't hit him that it's real until he went to visit a farm one day, on a field trip, when he was in elementary school.
Reason number 4, research Operation Fishbowl and Operation High Jump. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. Don't know what much else to say.
Operation Fishbowl and Operation High Jump? Fishbowl appears to be a series of high-altitude nuclear tests. A high jump appears to be an Antarctic expedition by the military to determine how feasible it would be for other countries to attack from the polar region. Neither of these is self-explanatory for why a flat Earth makes sense. And in fact, it seems that high jump even confirms the Earth is round because planes can in fact fly over it from other parts of the globe to get to us quicker in some cases. However, it's also incredibly cold, which makes it terrible to fly passengers over in a commercial sense.
Reason number 5. The Antarctic Peace Treaty. Another self-explanatory one. If you don't know what it is, just research it, please.
The Antarctic Treaty exists because of the aforementioned point. The Earth is a globe. People can potentially stockpile weapons there, and so on. We wouldn't need the treaty if the Earth was flat and surrounded by ice, after all, because there wouldn't be a North and South Pole. It would all just be that icy stuff at the end of the world or whatever. The ice ring, maybe.
Reason number 6.
Dude, please script. Dramatic pauses aren't useful in this kind of video.
I'd say probably the fact that the North Pole is actually in the center of the world.
You say probably as though you aren't actually sure if the world is flat or not, if the North Pole is at the center or not. How does magnetism work exactly, and its declination, on a flat Earth?
Reason number 7. gravity's never been proven, just a theory.
A scientific theory isn't a guess. It's the thing that describes how reality works in the best, most consistent terms we have that hasn't been shown incorrect. You're free to show that gravity doesn't exist, though, if you can. In fact, if you have this evidence, please provide it.
Reason number 8. There's no proof that a rock can ever reflect light. If you have proof of this, please share it in the comments. Because there's no way the moon is a rock that reflects the sun's light. That's impossible. Rocks do not reflect light.
You see this rock here? That's your first evidence. The fact that you can see it. The light is bouncing off of it. I also just so happen to have a flashlight right here. And if I turn the right one on, you see how it reflects even more the light and appears brighter when the light hits it? I hope that's showing up good on camera. Boom! Science.
Please don't call me something like uneducated. Ugh, we know what education is. It's indoctrination. I'm not uneducated. I'm just not indoctrinated. There's a difference, okay?
That was some word salad. That's for sure.
I've lost count now. Oof. But I can't remember what reason I was on, but another reason is the fact that water is still.
Rivers, they don't flow. Oceans don't have waves. Tsunamis don't happen. Rain just doesn't exist, I guess.
Relatively still.
Relative to what exactly? The other planets you claim we've never seen? Really now?
This is obviously impossible on a spinning ball.
Why, though? Are you going to tell me that your car never needs windshield wipers because the rain can't cling to it while your car is moving? Does water work differently where you live?
Gravity is said to be a weak force, but it's strong enough to keep in all the water. Come on, what kind of bullcrap is that?
It's the weakest of the four forces, yes, but it also acts over the largest distance, and also works much more on objects which are closer. Water happens to be quite a bit closer to the center of the Earth than the Moon is, for example, but gravity still keeps both of them where they are. The Earth isn't spinning fast enough to throw the water off, you see. You know how, in your washing machine, the clothes spin really fast, but it still doesn't make them come out dry. Because they're not spinning fast enough to break the bonds that hold the water molecules together. The Earth is the same way, it's simply not spinning fast enough to throw the water away and break the bonds of gravity and so on.
Telling me I'm in Britain right now and there are people upside down in the world right now? Upside down to me, do you really believe that crap? Come on.
In a manner of speaking, yes. When you stand up anywhere on Earth, your head is a bit further from the center than your feet are, yes. Relative to Earth, up is just the direction away from the center. This means that if you're standing and someone on the opposite side of the world is standing, you're effectively standing with your feet closer to their feet and your head furthest from their head. Again, the spin isn't enough to overcome gravity, so you both stick to the outside as you've done your entire life.
The farthest they've ever dug is 8 miles.
Correct. As we go further down, the density increases exactly like we'd expect if gravity continuously compacts things the way we observe. Flat or round, I don't see how this is an argument either way.
And you're telling me they know what's at the center of the Earth? The center?
Based upon lots of science, we can figure out what's down there, yes. We don't have to look at it directly. We can compare it to known things, we can see how much our gravity affects the bodies of known mass that aren't our planet, and so on. It's too much to explain in this video, but you can find tons of info on this in various places. Check out this link referenced here in the description for a basic overview.
Do you know how far that is? Come on, you stupid.
Oh, hey, remember how he said back in that earlier part that if he acts like we're stupid, it means we're right?
Reason number two, every time I say I believe the earth is flat, the initial response is just something like I'm autistic or retarded.
Interesting.
People need to think for themselves.
That's what I'm doing here. That is, in fact, the entire premise on which science is predicated, after all. Asking questions and making observations, then making predictions based on them, and seeing if we get it right or wrong, then having peer review, then repeating the process until we get closer.
People like to say stuff like, flat earthers are gullible.
Yeah, some people do. Some other people like to say the globe earth acceptors are stupid too. What's your point?
Gullible. Because I'm the gullible one. Says the ones who read textbooks and believe the words of people they've never even met.
You do realize you're also reading text and believing the words of people you also have never even met, right? This is the worst reversed argument from authority I think I've ever heard. We don't base our knowledge on who says it, we base it on if we can replicate and explain it. And if the arguments or the evidence itself is compelling.
People they don't even know are real, to be honest. Because that's fact, they don't know those people are real.
I don't know if you're real either, I guess. I never met you. You and I could be holograms or something, I guess. The same could be said of everyone who wrote, spoke, recorded, or even breathed for all of eternity, I suppose. What I'm saying is, who cares?
Gullible is not the word to describe me. I don't even know why I call myself a flat earther. I'm really just a true earther. I just know the truth. It's the true earth.
Repeating yourself over and over isn't what makes you correct. You're free to believe it, though, just the same as I'm free to respond to it and not believe it.
You know, I don't believe it as a theory. It's just the truth. I know it to be so.
Oh, I see. Well, I take part of what I said back then. I also know that I am correct. See how this works? I can make claims that I am right because I know something also. Do you understand why this isn't useful or convincing yet?
Nobody will ever convince me otherwise, to be honest. It's pointless.
The point of debate isn't necessarily for you to convince me or me to convince you. It's for the people who observe it. Then again, if nothing will change your mind, then you aren't actually debating, you're just being stubborn. I will change my mind with evidence. Why won't you?
If you're going to say something in the comments, please provide proof and sound educated. Sound sophisticated at the very least. I don't want morons or idiots in the chat again and again. I've had so many of these arguments with people.
Fair enough. I think I've given plenty of evidence, and I think I sound educated. I realize that some people don't think Rhotic dialects sound educated, but I do. Although you haven't actually provided any proof here, so I don't know why you're asking me for any. Especially when you said you won't change your mind anyway. But whatever. Here you go.
And they almost always end the same.
Do you think they might always end the same because you refuse to change your mind? As you said, you wouldn't.
Explain to me why there are bubbles in spacewalks.
I don't know what you're talking about exactly, but linked below will be an article from Phil Plait discussing one instance of this. Citation, folks. They're important.
Explain why NASA has never done a 360-degree pan of its camera.
You think NASA only has one camera? Here's a 360-degree camera used on a spacewalk.
Explain how satellites take selfies with the camera reverted on them.
Selfie sticks? I mean, do you have some specific examples, or should I go and find every picture of a satellite happening to capture itself in an image and then explain how?
Does that even make sense? And don't tell me there's another satellite there.
You don't think we humans have more than one satellite up in space? Or you don't think we can make them geosynchronous and make things like GPS work from them?
That bullcrap of satellites getting that close. If there are that many satellites in space, why can't we see any of them?
Mostly because they're minuscule, tiny, minute from where we are. Know how you can see through a mist and not see individual water droplets, or how you might not notice a dead pixel on a big screen, or maybe how you might not even be able to see a fly on a wall that's very far away. Same idea, relatively speaking, the satellites are even smaller than that.
Explain to me why stars change color and move.
The atmosphere. Same reason the sky changes color at different points of the day. It's pink in the morning sometimes, blue in the afternoon, or gray even sometimes. The atmosphere makes things look different colors as the consistency of it changes relative to the light source. You know those pockets of high and low pressure? Well, when the pressure changes, the density of the air changes, that kind of thing. That's why we stick things like observatories on top of mountains in relatively clear areas.
Because they're living things.
Woo, lads! I think we just went off the rails. Stars are alive. I mean, I guess for a very specific definition of life, perhaps? But I don't know what that has to do with the colors, or what it has to do with the Earth being flat.
Research flat Earth, folks.
I have been, but it's not convincing. See some of my earlier videos doing just that. That's where I'm going to wrap it up, as this is the end of his video. If you enjoyed this, please click the appropriate buttons and leave a comment down below. Let's discuss this wild Earth we live on. I apologize for not getting out more videos this week, but I simply did not have a lot of time. Scripting them like this takes a bit longer than just doing them off the cuff and recording them through audio. I like doing this sort of presentation better, honestly. I'm hoping to knock out a few videos this week, though, so do stay tuned. If you want to know how to get your name on my screen right here, be sure to check out my Patreon. Every bit helps me get closer to eventually doing this full-time, maybe. Even $1 a month is greatly appreciated. Thanks again to my patron for having faith in me. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with any of your Flat Earth or Globe Earth friends. We can be flurfers and globetards together. As always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.